Hey everybody, Nick here, and today we had a little disassembly and maintenance to do on this very, very little guy right here. This is the Bestech Reticulan, designed by Isham. Size comparison, Spidicodelica. Tiny little freaking knife. And so I'm curious how the disassembly is going to go down on this guy. I just finished disassembling the Bestech Knives Reticulan, so I am primed for all kinds of weird shit. Like, this thing could fall apart, and you know, suddenly, like, 15 cows could jump out of the pivot, and I'd be about ready for it at this point. On any kind of weirdness, I am game for. So, okay, just popped off the pivot. That's good. That's easy. Now, I think I'm going to have to do a flip-flop disassembly. My general desire in life is not to remove the clip, just because that tends to lead to some complexity. And by the way, I'm using this driver set from Xiaomi and Weha. But aside from that, my disassembly toolkit video is posted online. But okay, just giving this guy a try. So that was looks like T10? No, T8 on the front of it there. I am going to go ahead and remove that. Yeah, because my thought is that this is probably a Chicago screw that's going all the way through there, and then the clip is the other side of this. And there's a lot to be said for disassembling a knife from just one side at a time. Okay, so there we go. Hey, thank God, this one was weird. This one makes sense. So what I've gone ahead and done here is popped everything apart, and now we see that this is, at its core, although a very small little frame lock, just another flip of frame lock. And I don't mean that disparagingly yet. I may mean that disparagingly in the future, although it's pretty small to be not, you know, uncommon. Or it's pretty small to be common. But nevertheless, this is a very, very straightforward knife, given its size. Let's see here is that there is just no... Beautiful. There's nothing too strange about it. We have a stop pin that's mounted in the blade. Goes within this little track here. Easy peasy, lemon freaking squeezy. It's a American idiom. All of you folks who are not from the U.S., do not try to draw sense out of that. It ain't happening. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and clean off this bearing right here. I'm hoping that this guy will be a little smoother once I finish it running. Or once I finish it running? What the hell? Ay, ay, ay. My brain is kind of dead at the moment. After that freaking pleroma disassembly, followed by, following an evening of listening to A Brief History of Time. Really good book, by the way. Stephen Hawking. Gets all into the black holes and such. A little outdated at this point, but I had never read it. But anyway, so my brain is just like wrecked at the moment. I've got space-time issues. I've got weird knife-making issues. I got all kinds of... And I got my other normal issues, which, let's be real here, are not trivial. But anyways, that's okay. I've always joked that knife disassembly is therapeutic for me, and indeed, this is yet another case of it. Some days it's hard because filming here, I'm performing at some level. You know, I need to be on. I need to be saying things that are reasonable. Well, as any of you who watched my prior videos know, reasonable is maybe a sliding scale here. But nevertheless, I need to be, you know, talking. No dead air, that kind of thing. And that can be tricky sometimes, and it can be a little more relaxing just to, like, sit down and do the disassembly. You know, there is a certain joy in silently, you know... Oh, my God, I'm weird. There is a certain joy in silently disassembling a pocket knife. Yeah, okay, to me and, like, to other people. But nevertheless, there is a therapeutic value to this. So, yeah. Okay, unless there's something I'm forgetting here, we are all set, and it's time to put this little guy back together. What I need to do here is I'll start off by lubricating it. What am I going to use here? I am actually going to go ahead and... Yeah, let's go ahead and use nano oil here. This is a new bottle of nano oil, 10 weight here. New, not in that I ran out from the old one. I don't you know, I use a lot of it being Exxon Shabazz here, but at the same time, you know, I haven't really gone through that much absolute volume of nano oil. But that said, I did transfer what I had into this bottle here, which allows me to use these little needle tips. It's a lure lock sort of thing, which is actually kind of nice. But okay. But I could also be using Daiwa Real Oil. I could be using Knife Pivot Lube. They're all freaking good. So there you go. I am noticing that the pivot here is D-shaped, and so I'm going to need to have it oriented in the direction that it needs to be in. And so it looks like the D needs to be facing backwards, which can, coincidentally, it sure seems to be. So, hey, victory. Okay, come on, pop through there. This is weird. The milling on this guy is almost, there's like a, I know that it gets down to circular in there, but it's got almost like a septagonal, octagonal, something like that. Can you have an uneven? Yeah, of course you can. Either way, it's something agonal in there, and that's unusual. It's causing me a little bit of agony. Okay. There's 35 VN label on the blade. Nice. No argument there. Whoa, that was way too damn much lubrication. Yikes. Still getting a feel for this bottle here. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's, frankly, enough to keep most cruise ships going, lubrication-wise. Not that cruise ships need a great deal of lubrication. Unless you want to refer to alcohol as lubrication, in which case, yes, it would appear that that's a thing. Okay. So, we have things properly oriented. Now, mind you, things are a little out of whack here. This is going to need to slide deeper into position here. Whoa. Things are not running right. Because that needs to be seated. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, this pin goes into position here. Okay, that's in place. Now what I'm going to do is first off, I'm going to go ahead and pop this back screw in. I'm going to use a little Loctite here. Did I already plug my knife disassembly toolkit video? Well, go ahead and watch it if you haven't. Help you know what all I'm using here, but I'm just using some blue Loctite on a stick there. Okay, that's put into place. Now what I can do is focus my attentions, my efforts, my desires on this pivot right here. And unfortunately, that's a shame. The pivot has gotten itself rotated. Oh, crap. So, because the D-shaped side of the pivot is here and the D shape is currently facing this direction. That's cool. How the heck am I going to do this? And unfortunately, it seems... Oh, well, actually, just like this, huh? I was going to say, it doesn't go both directions, but that's okay. It's circular. 360 degrees is all it takes. Okay. Now, is that in place? Yeah, that is in place. Cool. I don't know for sure whether the pivot is properly seated there, but I'm going to go ahead and pretend that it is until I have evidence otherwise. What I'm going to do, though, because I am acting on insufficient information, good God, that screw is shallow. Thing's shallower than American television. Don't get all pissy. I watch Gold Rush, too. But anyways, it is... Wow, is that screw shallow? Okay. So what I'm going to do then, because this screw is just barely deep enough to get this driver in position, is I'm going to start this guy here. There we go. So I'm feeling the pivot is now rotating. That's not great. That's not great at all. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, with the blade unlocked, try rotating this way, because that should allow me at a certain point to feel the D-shaped pot pop into position and allow the pivot on the other side here to seat more deeply. Can I do this with the blade closed? Yes, I think so. Now I need to not have huge amounts of lubrication. on my fingers such that I can... Are we in place? Are we together? Yes, we are. Okay. Holy crap, I think this is working. Tighten, tighten, tighten. Ah, damn. I think that's too tight. Maybe it's not. But the centering is now off, which is an indication that it is too tight. So I'm going to loosen it a little bit. Still no blade play. Loosen a little more. Because you can see the centering is off towards the toward the clip side. With a frame lock knife, that's generally an indication that the pivot is a little too tight, because when the pivot is loose, the the lock bar is going to push the blade in this direction. And so these are countervailing forces. You've got this force here, and then you've got some kind of a straightening force being applied by the pivot itself. So, okay, I bet I can loosen even further. This has got a pretty wide range without blade play. Now we are back to perfectly centered. Great action. A little tiny bit of play. All right, let's tighten down just a hair. No play. Centering is not quite dead on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the back. Because as I recall, the centering was pretty good, although it may not have been quite dead on then either. But I'm going to loosen this back screw here and then retighten a little bit. We're not scraping or anything. Yeah, we're good. And actually, that's close enough to centered that I don't care. No play. Beautiful. All right, there we go. That actually turned out to be a little easier than I expected. 11 minutes, 53 seconds. Not so bad. So anyways, hope this has been interesting to you, and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of the day. Bye now.